Another habit of great managers is that whenever they communicate something, they always ask themselves, how could I be misunderstood? And then they proactively address these possibilities for misunderstanding. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine that you are telling one of your people that they should call one of your customers to get some feedback. Then you can ask yourself, how could my employee misunderstand me? And some possibilities could be they think they might have understood that any time is good, and maybe they put it in the calendar in 2 weeks to call, whereas maybe you needed to call them before tomorrow. Or maybe some misunderstanding could be that they understood that calling the customer is okay, while you wanted them to meet the customer in person, or the other way around. Another possibilities could be that you wanted them to get some quotable feedback from the customers that then you can use as a testimonial, and maybe they misunderstood that, and they're just asking for feedback to get some ideas for improvement, for example. Anyway, what matters is that you should ask yourself, how can the person in front of me misunderstand me? And then proactively address those points, especially those which are important for you and for the success of the task that you're delegating. Of course, there are two ways that you can do this exercise. One is a mental exercise. So before you're walking in a room, before you're taking the phone to call someone, you ask yourself, what should I communicate? And how can my interlocutor misunderstand me? And then the other way that in which you can apply this principle is that after you communicate something, you ask the person in front of you to rephrase what they understood, to repeat with their own terms what they understood. And that's a great way to spot some misunderstandings early. So just to summarize, the fourth habit that we're seeing in this 5 days mini course is to, whenever you're communicating something, ask yourself how you could be misunderstood, and then proactively address these misunderstandings. And this fits extremely well with what we've seen in the first 3 modules. The more you're specific, the less likely you are to be misunderstood. Second module was about being concrete while delegating. And that's great because when you are concrete, when you paint visual examples, you're less likely to be misunderstood. The third module was about early follow-up. And this habit of asking people to rephrase what you just communicated to spot early misunderstandings is, after all, one form of early follow-up. And then, of course, what we've seen in this module, which is to mentally ask yourself before you're communicating something, how could I be misunderstood? So that was it for the fourth module. Proactively ask yourself how you can be misunderstood. And by the way, the standard that you should have for communication is not to communicate so that you could be understood, but communicate so clearly that you cannot be misunderstood. Okay, this was it for the fourth unit of this 5 days mini course. And tomorrow we will see some ways to tie up all together and to implement what we've learned so far.